What is up, everybody, and welcome to a new series that we're doing here on Sibling Rivalry, where we do tier lists. Yeah.
Ah,
This week's tier list, we are going to be focusing on MCU Avengers. Just so everyone knows, S tier, these are going to be like I guess how are we going to do this? Are we going to do it based on like power rating, or are we doing this
I was
on
just gonna do it based on like the character overall.
like how cool the character is?
Yeah, it can be based off like the character overall or like the hero factor, so their powers or whatever. It just what outweighs one thing or can escalate them in another way, and then their story arc. Because the pictures here mostly are from Infinity War.
Yes. Yeah.
So which would mean that, it's the end point of their characters or the most recent point of their characters' development, right?
Yeah.
Does that sound good, or do you want to go specific with powers?
We can let's do we'll do it your way. We'll do it your way. One of these days we'll maybe redo this one based on power level. So that gives us actually more content. So more content is good, right?
Nope.
And
Wanky.
I think what we'll do is we'll just essentially go straight down the list, right?
Yeah.
Like, no reason to
Down the columns, down the rows.
Actually, you know what? I'm just gonna deviate really quickly. I say that rescue D tier. I'm sorry, we've literally seen zero rescue in the entire MCU, except for the final fight against Thanos in Endgame.
Yeah, that's fine.
And
I don't think she's gonna come back.
And I don't even really find Pepper Potts' character to be particularly interesting.
Not in the MCU. Like I've seen.
That's what I mean. Yeah.
Did you ever watch the cartoon, Tony? Like the cartoon Iron Man from like Disney XD for forever ago with really funky animation?
No.
Pepper Potts in that was cool.
Was she?
Yeah,
Might
she was
be worth
like
checking out.
April in Teen Titans in TMNT.
Okay.
She was like April, so badass.
I dig that.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe it's just I can't get past Gwyneth Paltrow. Like,
I think that's fair. I mean,
I am usually really good at like being able to set aside my feelings about an actor for their role. Like, for example, our mother absolutely hates Tom Cruise, but I love and as a person, like she's not really into the whole Tom Cruise thing. Whereas I can set that aside and still really enjoy Mission Impossible and Top Gun.
yeah, I mean, I don't. Yeah, I try to be pretty blind in terms of who the actor is in relation to who the character is,
Right.
for sure.
So yeah, that's where I feel that Rescue and Pepper Potts gets to be a D tier. D tier for me. If there was an F tier on this one, I guess I could have made my own tier list or edited this one. But D tier is where I'm putting Rescue.
All right. And
So,
now are we going to go in order?
Now we'll go in order. So at the top, we've got Captain Marvel.
Okay,
Carol Danvers.
Captain Marvel for me is pretty like meh.
Really?
Well, okay, so the main reason being there's not much to her personality-wise as of yet.
Fair.
And then she's just a powerhouse. And that's really
true.
all she's been utilized as, especially in the Endgame and Infinity War movies. All she was used for was
Well, she wasn't even really in Infinity
powerhouse.
War.
She was in the end credit scene.
Yeah, okay.
There,
Um,
she gets the actress gets credited for being in that movie by being in the end credits.
yeah, and I guess we're not really. If we were going based on power levels here, she'd probably be S tier for sure.
I mean, she still has the ability, however they move her character forward within the MCU, to be raised higher. It's just right now, I am not invested in her character as a person.
Uh-huh. I I can see that. I enjoyed her character and her story in her movie. So like I am invested. Um, but so were you thinking like B tier?
I was thinking B tier. I mean, even in her movie, I was invested in the kid.
Monica?
Yeah. I couldn't think of her name, and I was like, she was just in WandaVision.
Uh-huh.
Um, but I'm
Okay.
more invested in Monica than I was in her in that particular movie. And again, like,
She's
not
in
to
it
say
for
I
like
didn't
10
enjoy her
seconds.
movie. I know, but I thought she was the cutest character and the one that had the most character development in that for being a just because she was the one
She had
who
one
brought
speed in that movie.
she brought out the only like
That's not
not
character development for her. That's
okay,
her
but she
being
brought
used as
out
a
the
tool
only
for character development.
you're talking over me, sir. Whatever. My point still stands. I enjoyed Monica and where they're taking her character so far, much more than I'm enjoying where they're taking Carol Danvers,
Okay.
which would
Um,
be character development.
I would probably argue for a little like A tier, but I think B is as low as I'd go based on the fact that we're going kind of based off of character. And you're right, we have not gotten to see a lot of the Captain Marvel character as of yet. So I would like to see more of that before moving her higher
Yeah,
on this tier list.
yeah.
Okay. Um, Doctor Strange. Um, so we've only had one Doctor Strange movie as well, and as far as appearances go for him, it was he had a pretty lengthy like screen time on Infinity War.
He
Um,
played a
ca-
pretty integral part in Infinity War.
yes, but I still don't think we've seen as much. I so we've seen character growth with Stephen Strange. We have not seen Sorcerer Supreme Stephen Strange.
I will give you that. I think that him as a character I'm invested in to see how he progresses. He was extremely entertaining in both of the
His
movies that we've
appearances.
seen him.
Hmm.
Yeah, and actually he's technic
Yeah,
credit wise he was in Thor. Like he wasn't in the credits, he was in Thor Ragnarok. He
what?
sends Loki and Thor to
Oh
visit his dad before he dies.
yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I that whew, I completely forgot about that.
And
Um,
then he was in the end credits, but his end credit scene for the movie prior to Thor Ragnarok was essentially just like a snippet of his appearance in Thor Ragnarok.
and he was mentioned in Captain America: The Winter Soldier
Oh yeah.
when they're talking about all of the people with potential that Project Insight would murder. Stephen
Yeah.
Strange came up as one of those names. Um, for
But
for
so
me, he's not S tier. Um, I would probably argue to put him in the same kind of like B tier because we've really only seen one speed of Stephen Strange.
I would
I'm
argue that you've only seen one speed of Doctor Strange. You've seen plenty of growth as his character develops because he had a more defining turn into a superhero than
Like
than
Captain
Captain
Marvel.
Marvel. But that would
Okay.
also go into
I
comic book lore, I guess,
uh-huh.
more so than the movie, because you can't really fault the movie for following the origin story. So I don't know if I would really.
No, you know what though? I think you're right. I think as far as a character,
I'd love
we've seen Stephen Strange grow quite a bit. Um, I think I want to see. I'm torn between B and A. He's definitely not S tier for me.
No,
Um,
and I can respect that because we haven't seen him in enough. I'm extremely excited to see him in more.
I'm
His
extremely
movie,
excited to see him in Spider-Man.
yeah, his movie has been one of my favorite MCU movies. And I think that the thing that's also keeping me from ever putting him in is I want to see the Doctor Strange in House of M style Doctor Strange.
Hmm. Have you
And
watched What If at all?
no, because Dad was out of town for like a week, and
So you haven't
then
seen any
Mom's
of
at
it?
work, and so we have to watch it all as a family. No,
Oh gosh,
I
there's a
know.
Doctor Strange episode that is so good and also so dark.
That's what Sarah said. She was like, a lot of people at school were talking about how dark it turns. And she's been really pushing for us to watch it, and I feel
I
like a really bad person, but
I
yeah.
literally binge watched all of the current episodes yesterday.
I feel like that's what we're gonna end up doing maybe tomorrow, but then the TV in the living room went out. Like
Oh no.
there's a strip in the TV that the light
Oh
went out.
no. Okay. That sucks.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um I'll allow a I think for me he's more B tier, but uh I feel like if we sat here and argued more, I could potentially be convinced
To put him in.
um, to put him in A. Um, but he's mostly B tier for me.
Okay.
Otherwise,
That's fair.
Hawkeye, Ronin, Hawkeye slash Ronin.
I feel like there has been so much character development of Hawkeye just between Infinity and Endgame. Or not even Infinity, sorry. Between event Captain America Civil War, I guess,
Uh huh.
and Endgame.
So, and this may be
And then
you
prior to that
may
it was pretty.
you may disagree with me. This is the
Okay.
first one on this list that I would truly say is S tier.
I'm fine with that. I'm
Just
honestly I would struggle where to put him because how his character shifted,
he
being such a very integral.
he is so important to the Avengers as a whole. Like with the death of Phil Coulson slash not the real death of Phil Coulson, I feel like Hawkeye has been the one that kind of is able to ground the rest of the Avengers.
Yeah, the last two movies that his
Es-
character was prominently in, I
uh,
feel like have been
eh,
amazing.
well, and
Prior
then
to that, you only kind of are like, oh, okay, like he's there, cool.
well, and I mean, I think he says it in is it Age of Ultron that they go to his house, his like little
Yes.
farmhouse. Like he says it, or his wife says it.
Oh,
Like it's
I
like
thought that was Civil War.
you
Yeah,
are
you're right
so
though.
incredibly important to them. Like you need to,
Scary.
yeah.
Yeah.
And if it was pointed out in that movie, and then if you go and you think of that going
Yeah.
through each of the other movies, you're like, holy crap. It's not wrong. And then like just his interactions with Scarlet Witch in Age of Ultron as well. Like him sitting down in that room. It's like there are flying robots everywhere. There's people with superpowers, and I've got a bow and arrow. Nothing
Yeah.
about this makes sense.
Yeah.
I
No,
think
he's an awesome character that I think is super underrated. I'm incredibly excited about
His show?
yeah.
Yeah, same. I'm really excited about that too. So I like when we're going just based off of like story and character. I feel like Hawkeye is
Top tier.
true S tier character. And I think Jeremy Renner does a really good portrayal of him. Like,
Yeah.
you cannot convince me otherwise.
Oh yeah. Like I can imagine a better actor for that role.
Absolutely not.
I feel like that though for a lot of the actors in Marvel. I think they cast pretty well.
Yeah, I think they do a really good job with casting. I agree. Rocket.
Okay. I'm like I know you didn't like Guardians of the Galaxy 2 as much.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that it was a good movie for character development amongst the Guardians and how they interact with each other and how they respect each other.
Uh-huh.
And so Rocket for me, just the last like 5 or 10 minutes of the movie where it's longer than that, but when he realizes that Peter isn't on the ship and he has to leave anyway, absolutely gut-wrenching. And hearing oh my god, I literally just had his name on the tip of my Blue Mary Poppins.
Yondu?
Thank you. Oh my god.
Blue Mary Poppins.
um and his interactions with Rocket made me really enjoy Rocket's character. I don't think that it's, gonna go super, super high, but I do really enjoy where they took his character.
Yeah, I'd probably have to watch the second Guardians of the Galaxy again to kind of be on the same level of agreement.
That's fine. I just don't think he's D.
I don't think he's D either.
I would probably put him in B personally, but I can understand wanting to put him in C.
That's kind of what I was thinking.
Okay, I was
B
like,
tier.
I just really resonated with his character and his paint.
He
And
definitely has a lot
exactly
that happens to him too, and I think that's important to put in there.
And then him being one of the only Guardians left in Endgame.
He's the only OG Guardian.
OG Guardian, but I mean
Nebula's there. Mm-hmm.
And she is a Guardian.
Yeah.
So.
Okay.
Ant-Man, Ben. Ant-Man.
So I can't really say there's a lot of character growth for Ant-Man. Like, don't get me wrong. I love Ant-Man. I think Paul Rudd is phenomenal in the role. I think he adds
funny.
Yeah, his character's funny. He adds that lightheartedness that needs to be there in like some of those dire situations.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think he's any. I think he's probably more A tier than S tier for me, though, just because he doesn't. I don't know. He doesn't hit the same notes as like Hawkman does. Hawkeye.
He would never have been S tier for me. I can put him in A tier or B tier. I can put him in A tier because I do thoroughly love how Paul Rudd presents the character. I think that he is an important part of the team for humor and just for intelligence and all the things that he can contribute to it.
The snapping wouldn't have been undone without him.
That's true too.
So,
but yeah, in the same way, I feel like he doesn't have much character development going from like foolhardy to super intense.
Yeah.
but technically for him also, a lot of time hasn't gone by for us to have witnessed growth.
Right. This is fairly true. The only thing that like I can be like, oh my god, this is so heart wrenching, is him missing his daughter grow up.
Yeah, and he sees her and he's like, beg your pardon?
Yo. All right. This is where I'll say like I do feel like we should probably bring into account current
TV shows?
MCU stuff. So like we can bring in the TV shows in our rating. Wanda Maximoff, Scarlet Witch.
I dare you to put her in anything other than S.
No, I agree. I think she deserves to be with Hawkeye.
Okay.
Um,
It's because you got so into that comic, Ben.
yeah, I did really get into that comic. Like pre WandaVision, Wanda would probably be closer to B tier for me. But well, no, I guess
A tier. I don't
A
think
tier.
I
No,
don't
you're right.
know
I think
her
A tier
in
with the Vision relationship and what all she went through there, and then
I mean, just her growth in Ultron when she was introduced,
Yep.
gut wrenching, and all the power to her. Like, so much respect, because she went from absolutely despising Tony Stark to being like, he's actually way worse. Like, Ultron is actually way worse. I will compromise my personal experiences with Tony Stark's name.
Yeah. I mean, I don't have as much like to argue with like as I do for Hawkeye. But like
this is like very understandable. If someone on here was like, "Oh no, she does not deserve to be S," I dare you to say why.
Yeah, I agree. In the comments down below, if you think that Wanda Maximoff is not an S tier character, let us know in the comments down below. Yeah, and then just like everything with her kids and WandaVision and
oh man, yeah. And then she hears her kids at the end.
Yeah. Yeah. I love it.
It'll be really cool seeing her character
in the multiverse of madness.
Yeah.
Heck yeah. I'm so excited. Oh gosh. Like I think that movie and No Way Home, those are the two that I am most looking forward to right now.
Same, but I mean the one that I really
Yeah.
really want to Shang-Chi. Okay.
I do too.
Captain America.
I feel like this is a character that we've gotten like honestly, like I feel like we could do Captain America and Tony like back to back here. Or actually, no, you know what? We're gonna save Captain America and Tony for the very end.
That's fine.
Hulk.
Wait, do you have Tony going before Captain?
No, we'll do Captain America and then Tony.
Okay. Sorry. Okay, so the Hulk that is there is the Hulk and Bruce Banner, like
Professor Hulk.
BF. Oh, I like that. That's cute.
I think that's what this version of the Hulk is actually called.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Gotcha.
How would I have known that?
Because we read comic books.
The only Hulk comic that I have read has been
Planet
the one.
Hulk. Okay, fair enough. Okay. Anyway, so Professor Hulk. I so badly want a Mark Ruffalo Hulk movie.
Me too, but I don't want Professor Hulk.
No, I don't want Professor Hulk either. I
did not enjoy Professor Hulk. I thought he was a little comical.
Yeah. It's not the Bruce Banner Hulk that I liked. Like yeah. I thought if we were talking about like Thor Ragnarok, Hulk Bruce Banner.
Awesome.
Absolutely. And if that relationship had like grown and continued through to Endgame, um, phenomenal, fantastic. Not I'm kind of with you on like not the biggest fan of how this has gone. And I'm curious at how long it'll actually last.
Yeah.
Um,
I'm just I did find his character and how they had his character move forward with Hulk kind of comical in a very morose setting
uh-huh.
for the Endgame world. So I mean, I didn't enjoy his character and I didn't enjoy Thor's character because I felt like both of them were pushing comedy.
So once we
Like,
get to Thor, I'll talk about what bothered me about
okay.
him in
But
Endgame.
so if I'm going just like Hulk and the Mark Ruffalo Hulk and Bruce Banner, then I would go higher. But if I'm going from this picture from Infinity War,
Well, we're talking
him,
about current story up to now. So
so
for me, I actually think I think he's C tier. Like I
I was
don't
gonna say,
think
like,
he's
I think he's C, but he was important.
he was important, but
I
was
agree.
he?
Like, if we're just basing this off of our personal preferences, I do think he's C. If we're basing this off of like the storyline and as a he would be higher, but I don't feel like they did his character justice with how they moved his character
Yeah,
forward.
and so you say that, but literally everything that happened in Endgame, except for the snap, could have happened without him.
Him
Like,
and Ant-Man were the ones who created the time traveling device. Oh,
yeah, but it was
him and
Tony's.
Tony Stark were the ones who created the time traveling device.
Yeah, but the Hulk couldn't figure it out. Bruce Banner couldn't figure it out. Tony Stark came
That's
and was like,
valid.
"This is what you did
That's
all
valid.
this wrong. This is what
This
you're
is one
actually
of those
supposed to
movies
do."
I've actually only watched it twice because I'm too emotional. I'm much too much of an emotional watcher. I watched a cartoon today and was sobbing. So
Fair
that
enough.
I've seen a million times.
Wasp.
See. Okay. I do not like Wasp.
I'm not a huge fan of her either. Um,
I find her character kind of abrasive and annoying, and that she doesn't move anything forward.
yeah, I haven't. I
And
have
I
a
did
hard
not
time.
like Ant-Man and Wasp because I did not like Wasp.
I've only seen Ant Man and Wasp once, so I don't have a whole lot of opinions on her. I didn't really love her in Ant Man. I I don't know. I think Hope Van Dyne has been portrayed a lot better in other things, and
And the thing is,
this is one where I actually think casting could have probably been done better.
I can see that because my thing is like I know that she's an important character and she's a badass character.
Hmm.
It's just I find her much more annoying and kind of boring.
Yeah, kind of one dimensional.
Yeah. So for me, she's D.
Yeah,
Because I honestly, when I see her on screen, I go, oh, okay.
I can agree with you
I
there.
feel so
I
bad.
kind of feel bad that our only D tier.
Are women.
Yep,
I hate it.
yep, yeah.
I hate
Well, no,
that. And I feel
there's
like terrible, terrible person.
we have another D, at least looking at all of this, I see one other hero that I want to put in D tier, and that's the last one that I really want to put in D tier. So it's not a woman. We're good.
Okay.
Let's talk about
Um,
Nebula.
talking about like character progression, badass.
She's got a lot of good character progression. Um,
Character development for her has been outstanding throughout all the movies that she's appeared in.
right, and it's
And
not
her
like
backstory is awesome.
her backstory is great, and on top of that, I know you haven't seen it yet, but like the What If Nebula, also really badass.
Hmm.
Um, and Her character growth, her development to me is at least A tier, maybe
I would
even
put her at
S.
S. I mean,
Would
I
you?
can settle for A, but how her character develops, I don't think I have ever seen her on screen and my heart hasn't just like squeezed because I'm like, oh, poor Nebula. um,
I
and then
think
everything that's happened with Infinity and Endgame between her and her sister has just been such an emotional roller coaster between hating her sister at the very beginning of her appearance to accepting her sister to loving her sister to losing her sister to finding her sister again, but her old sister. And it's just like, oh my God.
yeah. Like I was going to say that I could be swayed to S tier for her.
So did my rant sway you?
Yeah, I mean it swayed me enough.
Okay. I mean, I'd be okay putting her in A, but she's one of those characters that I am very excited and I would be really sad to see her character leave the franchise.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. This is a really bad picture, but I assume this is Black Panther because I don't see Black Panther anywhere else.
It is Black Panther.
Okay.
Tactic.
So I think I might have been one of the few people that didn't love Black Panther as much as everyone says they loved Black Panther. But I think part of that has to be like I saw it later, so I think the hype kind of like built up a lot. So I went into it, watched it, and was disappointed because I expected more.
My problems with the movie had nothing to do with Black Panther.
Yeah, my problems with the movie had more to do with Killmonger.
Same. I felt like they threw away that villain.
Yeah. Killmonger
Which
has an episode What If also that's pretty damn good.
Which it was super interesting. I've followed somebody recently who did like a vlog about their opinion on Killmonger in Black Panther, and they loved him.
Mm. Yeah, no, I've
were
seen
like, oh, that was a villain that I truly resonated with and that I could feel for. And I was like, I felt like they left very little empathy for me to have. Like the only thing that they had going for him was that he found his dad dead.
Mhm.
But they didn't go into it more. They didn't go into relationship building between the dad or Killmonger. And so my issues with Black Panther, the movie, had nothing to do with Black Panther and was solely Killmonger.
Yeah.
Love this Black Panther and how they portrayed him. And I thought he was an extremely powerful and well-driven character from the beginning when you see him in Civil War.
Mm-hmm. I am really sad that we won't have a Aurora and
Black
Panther wedding.
Yeah.
But
especially since they finally got the rights to
X-Men.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think he's S tier.
No, I would put him in A tier. I don't think he got the opportunity to move up to S tier.
Yeah, I mean, he definitely had a lot of growth from Civil War to Infinity War.
Yes.
And I thought it was good growth. The one thing I will say about Killmonger, just to throw that out there, the thing that I thought was cool about him as a hero, or not a hero, as a villain, was I thought his motivation for being angry at Wakanda was strong and sound because of talking about race and how racist the United States is and growing up in a world that's super racist and how Wakanda is what it is and could have done so much to fix that, you know?
Mm-hmm. But I feel like they didn't delve into any of that. They didn't
go
deep.
It was like a one-off line.
Yeah. And so that's why for me, I'm like, I don't feel motivated for this villain. Like I don't have I don't have much empathy for the villain because they
Yeah.
didn't go deeper. So, but I do think that that's a good point to have with
Yeah.
Killmonger and
James Buchanan Barnes.
Bucky.
Yep.
I love Winter Soldier. The Hawkman. The now you have me saying
Uh-huh.
the Falcon and the Winter Soldier series. That was probably my favorite.
Yeah, and honestly, so if it were pre-Falcon and Winter Soldier, I would say Bucky is A. But because of Falcon and Winter Soldier, I think seeing kind of how much he's going through bumps him up to S tier for me. I don't feel the same about Falcon.
Well, for me, Winter Soldier I think would have been a B to begin with, and then an A after, and the Winter Soldier, but going to S tier. I love him as a character. Super interested to see where they go with him,
Uh-huh.
and he's another one of those characters that just had so much happen to him, and a relatively short. You can put him in S.
Okay.
You wanted to put him in S.
I did, but you said B to A,
No,
so I was...
I can be swayed to S. Just like that's really more of just a discussion. That's not me of a no. He does not deserve that. You know.
I gotcha.
He's another one of those characters that in a relatively short film's like screen time had so much happen to him.
Yeah. Agreed. Peter Benjamin Parker, aka Spider-Man.
Wow, I wonder where you're gonna put him.
Well, I do want to put him in S, but like again, this is one I feel like even though we've only had a couple of movies with him as like the star of it, and his introduction in Civil War and him going through the stuff in Infinity War, I think it's Far From Home that really like pushes him into S tier for me. Like just kind of trying to come to terms with the fact that his newest father figure died again. Like first his actual dad, then Ben Parker, and now Tony Stark. And somehow Tony Stark believes that Peter is like the next Tony Stark.
He's gonna be the best of us all. Sorry, I love that line. That line gets me every time. From a comic. Sorry.
Yeah, exactly. And I think, like, especially in Far From Home, watching Peter go from like I'm not worthy of this to like that last scene where he's putting together his new spider suit on the plane with Happy, and like Happy just kind of looks over at him and is like,
I miss Tony.
yeah, like it gets me. And I mean, obviously Spider-Man is my favorite hero, period, end of story. Like no ifs, ands, or buts. But I do truly believe that his character is S tier.
Okay. Again, it's one of those things where I'm AS kind of cusp, and I totally respect how his character has gone, totally respect what you're saying, so I'm cool with that. I do feel like his character in Far From Home ended on an S.
Mm-hmm.
Or I don't even want to say ended on an S, because I feel like how his character progressed in that prior to him being exposed as Peter Parker was great development and showcased so much growth for the character. And then you have this big dip when he's revealed, which I can't say anything in regards to the new movie because we haven't seen it. I feel like it's going to be a lot of, or so far from the trailer, and I am super excited about the movie. I don't mean this as like a damn, this Spider-Man movie. That's not at all how I mean this. But in terms of character development, it feels like it's going backward a bit from him being very accepting of being a superhero and finally finding his place, backwards to where he began of, are you kidding me? Maybe I shouldn't be doing this type of a thing, which again, we haven't seen that movie.
Yeah, I don't get that vibe from the trailers at all.
So, and I mean, we've only seen that one trailer.
Hmm.
So,
You know
and
what?
I've
After thinking about it, I do feel like Bucky is probably A.
okay.
And just because I feel like we still have more to see from Bucky.
I agree. I completely agree. I think that there's so much more. He's not, I feel like S is you're at the cusp. You can't really get any cooler
Right.
or more amazing or more developed than you are. And I think that there's still so much more room for Bucky's character
All right.
to go in.
Falcon. The Black Falcon. AKA Captain
Just
America.
Falcon.
I know, it's just Falcon.
I was also quoting the show because he also says that as his reply. It's just Falcon. So this one's hard.
So I
feel like go ahead.
So I feel like he is a character, like he's similar to Hope for me. Like he's kind of one-dimensional, but he's not one-dimensional and an annoying character. He's just one-dimensional, and I feel
Even
like
after Falcon and the Winter Soldier, you feel that way?
I feel like he had a little bit of chance to show more of who he is, but I would have liked to have seen more than like the fact that he's like he helps people deal with like PTSD in the military, and we had one scene where we got to see that in the entirety, and it was interrupted. So it's like. I don't think he's a bad or uninteresting character. I just feel like he has not been developed enough. And so for me,
or to the point where like he deserves like what he deserves.
Right. So for me, he kind of falls into the same category as Professor Hulk. I want to put him higher, but I think to me he is still a C tier.
I think that what his character represents, especially within this new installment with the Disney Plus show,
right?
We want to put him higher, but I totally see what you're saying with his character embodies a lot, but hasn't developed a lot.
Right. And I think this, again, is not me saying that I dislike the character. I just feel like he's got a long way to go.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think it will take a lot of work to get there. I just think it hasn't gotten there yet.
That's fair. I think I was leaning towards a B, but I do see what you're saying and I do agree with it. So I'm fine putting him in C.
Excellent. And then Drax, I mean, talk about the most one-dimensional character and someone who I feel adds absolutely nothing to anything. And
he's somewhat comedic relief, but he is extremely flat.
Yeah. Which I know is the character also, but
and
I mean, we're talking about the character.
Well.
Yep.
But so the character itself is a D. So I mean, the actor's amazing. He does a great job. And I would be really sad to see his character gone from the Guardians of the Galaxy movies because it's enjoyable to watch. But if we're grading it on a character individually, like he's not a great.
You know who isn't on here? Mantis isn't on here. Crazy.
Oh man, I just had a conversation with Tiffany about about Mantis, and she was like, oh, "I love Mantis."
I love comic book Mantis. They do Mantis dirty in the movies.
She's only watched the movies and she loves Mantis.
Fair enough. All right.
Kind of same way with Mantis, probably with Drax.
War Machine, Iron Patriot, Rhodey.
Okay.
I think he's an incredibly important character. I don't. Well, no, he has had growth because he did go from
Supporting Tony to being like, you messed up.
yeah. I think he is an important character for Tony's development.
That's fair.
I am interesting, but I'm also interested to see what kind of role he might play in the Ironheart series. Yeah.
He's a character that I enjoy every time he's seen, but I don't ever miss him when he's not there.
That is accurate.
So for me, he's kind of B, just because of that. Like I
was
thoroughly
between
enjoy his
B and
character.
C. So
yeah. And I do think he's an integral part of the storytelling and how that came about. So
what?
did he get his legs back when he came back from the blip?
No, he still had, iron legs.
Okay. I didn't remember. Sorry.
He didn't die in the blip.
I don't remember seeing him in Infinity War. No, Endgame. Sorry, I remember seeing
he was the
Infinity
one that was
War again. I've also only seen once
Endgame,
because it makes me cry too much.
He was with Nebula. They got
you're right.
They beat up Peter Quill and stole the Power Stone, or I think it was the Power.
Right, you're right. Yeah. Sorry. I really did only watch that movie once because I cried too much. So those are gonna be like my new go-to movies when I feel too like blocked up emotionally, and I'm like, I gotta have a good cry. And those are gonna be my new go-to movies, but
Gotcha.
I've not been in that state.
Gamora.
Is this the Gamora that dies, or is this the Gamora that's all the way back at the beginning again?
Let's just use all of the information that we have on Gamora to figure out where to put her. She's not D tier for me, but I don't think she's any higher than B. And I would personally put her in C. Because she's another one of those characters that just...
I guess the more I think
she
about
goes
it.
from like just wanting to kill everyone, including her father, to okay, I guess there's some decent people that also want to kill my dad.
I guess I do.
And then also other people have daddy issues too. Gamora.
The more I think about it, the more I'm kind of like, I don't think she would be higher than B, but I do think she deserves B as one, just an overall badass character. Two, as a character that's pretty much the driving force in the Guardians. At least the first one.
Yeah.
Without her, none of them would have even engaged in.
This is true.
In fighting. She's also the main reason then for or not main reason, but the driving force in attacking Thanos in Infinity War. Directly within the Guardians. I did feel like her character development, like Peter, was kind of forced.
Yeah.
Just as it feels like it has to happen, therefore it should. So that was a huge divot for me for her character. But I mean, I feel like without her, you wouldn't have had the Guardians movie.
Yeah, that's fair.
So I put her in B.
All right. Groot.
I love Groot, but he's also just awesome. And a glowy tree that talks. It's like my dream. I would love to have a conversation given, he only speaks one word and is not a tree of earth.
Speaks three words, but...
Oh, yeah, sorry. I am Groot.
Mm-hmm.
Technically speaks 4 words.
Yeah, he only said that once, though.
I know, and then he died.
Yep.
And then he is a seedling.
Yeah. I struggle with the Guardians characters. Like, Groot is probably my favorite of the Guardians. I like the relationship between Groot and Rocket.
And I mean, he has grown character-wise, but I feel like he's grown character as a result of him aging.
Yeah. Yeah, I would probably put him C personally, just because there's not...
I have him in C.
Tight. We are at an hour of doing this.
What?
I did not expect our tier lists to take quite so long.
Well, this one's also a really long one.
It is. It just means we have to plan better when we do these in the future.
I'm so sorry.
It's okay.
10.
It's okay.
Oh my god.
I'm going to move Thor to the same spot as Captain America and Iron Man, just to do the big 3 at the end.
Okay.
Okoye.
This one stinks because we've really only seen her.
So this is how I feel about, like,
and she's awesome from what we've seen.
Yeah, this is how I feel about kind of Okoye, Quicksilver, and Valkyrie. Like, I have not seen enough of these 3
to say that they're S.
I feel like even to place them anywhere at all, I struggle. You know what I'm going to do? We're going to do this. We're going to add one.
New.
IDK.
Okay.
And that's where Okoye goes.
Okay, I do feel like she was a badass character. So just to put that out there, she just hasn't developed a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And hasn't become a super integral part other than being a driving force, similar to Carol Danvers as Captain Marvel.
Uh-huh.
So I would probably personally, like, without this IDK tier, would put her in B, just because I think character-wise, she has so much more room to grow as a character.
Mm-hmm.
As a warrior, top tier.
Yeah,
and thoroughly enjoy.
But we're not talking about power level and all of that. We're just talking about
I know. So, so as a character, seeing her on screen, she's top tier, and I get excited to see her on screen. But in terms of character development, there's still so many things to explore with her.
Yeah.
To kind of add more depth to her character.
I am going to keep these 3 at the IDK tier. Okoye, Quicksilver, and Valkyrie.
Valkyrie has been in a whole movie and was in
Okoye's been in a whole movie also.
Infinity War and Endgame.
Okoye's been in all of those things as well.
No. To say that Okoye had been in Endgame is to say that
she's
Pepper
one
Potts
of
was as Renegade. No?
Rescue.
Rescue, sorry.
Okoye is like one of the last surviving people in Wakanda. She actually had a fairly decently sized role in both Infinity War and Endgame.
Man, maybe I need to suck up my tears.
Yeah, I think you do, because...
Well, I remember Infinity War pretty well. I've seen that movie.
Obviously not, because Okoye was in that one quite a bit too.
No, I said she was in Infinity War quite a bit. I was saying Endgame.
Okay.
Bitch, listen. And Quicksilver deserved to be in more.
I agree, but the only reason that he wasn't was because the X-Men movies were coming out and they were using Quicksilver.
Yeah. Their use of Evan Peters, though, in
WandaVision,
hilarious.
Yes, absolutely. That was brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Done. God, it made me go wild with speculation, though. Like you remember when that episode came out, and I was just like, oh, this means X, Y, and Z, and it's like, no, it actually didn't, but I wanted it too.
I know. You and I talked about it because that was when I was staying with.
Natasha Romanov. So this one's going to be a little difficult for me just because I haven't seen the Black Widow movie yet.
Same.
Um,
Like, I almost feel like the Black Widow movie, from what I've heard without spoilers, which I've been very, like, I've stayed off of our Instagram account to kind of not see any of those spoilers because I follow a lot of, or we follow a lot of comic book related content on
weird,
our Instagram.
Right?
Yeah, I know, crazy. And so I haven't wanted to engage in any of those things in it, so I've been staying with.
Yeah.
But from non-spoiler content that I've seen, a bunch of them love it and like think that her character was amazing in it. I've heard a lot about her sister in it.
Yeah, I have too, Yelena.
Yeah, I'm really excited.
I think, like, even just Iron Man 2 through Endgame, I feel like she is a character that deserves the S tier as well.
Okay. I was A, and then I was like, but I feel like Widow would like the Black Widow movie would probably put her in S for me.
And I'm trying to kind of like take that into account also, is that they also had a lot of character development for her there. But like, she did a lot of shady stuff. And then she also worked really hard to try to undo all of the shady stuff that she did. And I think Scarlett Johansson does a really good job at playing that character.
I agree.
So, for me, S tier. I'm going to put her, because my OCD will bother me. I need, like, the purples to... whatever. Just, I need this. I need this to be like this, okay?
Okay.
Um...
Just really quickly for like overall, like me personally, I would also put Valkyrie in B with Okoye. Okoye? Okoye.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
For the same reasons.
Yeah,
Although
she's
she honestly has more character development as of right now than Okoye.
Yeah, Okoye kind of is one note.
I wouldn't say one note because you do see, I mean, that note was extremely short and, didn't lead to much, but you saw her with an internal struggle when
This is riveting.
The door, I can't even say it, but
Dora
I
Milaje?
can't. Thank you. I was like, I don't want to butcher these things real bad, and I know I do. Kind of conform to Killmonger just because that's by law that's what they needed to do, and you saw within her. So that's why I personally think that she did have some thing more than just a note.
Speaking of Black Panther characters, though, Shuri.
So maybe Okoye would be C.
Shuri.
I don't know, actually.
Shuri!
Shuri is awesome.
God. We haven't seen... I feel like she's another one we haven't seen enough of. Not to say that we haven't seen enough of her to the point where she's an IDK. But I don't know that I would put her... I wouldn't put her in S. I would probably put her in A tier. Like, super smart character and
comedic and
exactly
well developed to the point where you have multiple like you see her in as a warrior, you see her as a scientist, you see her as a sister, and all of them are very believable and well done. And
yes,
except
for her skinny stick arms holding up like those bracelets.
They're gloves.
Okay.
I mean, the chunky part, yeah, they're gloves.
Fair enough. But yeah, I think A tier is perfectly reasonable. I think she's interesting. I think she's well developed, and yeah, I think everything they make her to be is believable and good.
Yeah.
Peter Quill.
Love her. I'm excited to see. I'm extremely saddened about Chadwick. But But I do think that with the character that they chose, or the actress that they chose, and how they developed or have Shuri currently, is going to fill the franchise.
Yeah, I agree.
For Black Panther really well.
Peter Quill.
I don't like it.
I don't either.
I don't think I can really say that he's D. I'll give him C just because I mean he's more and than Drax.
Yeah, I agree.
I find everything about his character very forced.
Yeah. I mean, like, and like, don't get me wrong. Guardians of the Galaxy, one of my favorite Marvel movies. Like, I love it, but I don't love it for him. I love it for the music and the comedy.
Oh, I love the music.
And I don't think that like Chris Pratt is a bad Peter Quill. I think he's good for the role. Peter Quill bothers me, and it's just like,
I do though. I do strongly think that all of his motivations in the movies, for me, have felt very forced.
I agree with that.
Pushing him
100%.
with Gamora has felt forced.
Uh-huh.
Him connecting with his dad felt forced. Him then like coming to terms with killing his dad as the planet felt forced. His mourning, I can't get the first letter because I keep wanting to say Lando, and I know it's not Star Wars. Blue Mary Poppins. Yondu. Him mourning that character was also honestly felt really forced. I said I know it's not him, and that's why I hate names. I'm so bad with in real life too, which is really bad for the field that I'm in. Yeah.
Vision.
I'm very interested to know what they're doing with the Vision that's out there right now.
I'm super into it. Vision to me gets to be like an S tier character just for the lines that he gets.
That's fine.
Like I'm still going to tear up every time I think of the what is it? What is the line? It's what is oh my gosh. It's like, what is sorrow if not love persevering? Or what is, you know the line that I'm talking about. It's gonna drive me crazy. Oh my gosh.
I don't know which one you're talking about. He has great lines. He has great motivation. He has great character development from becoming very
For being a character that's like just a few years old. Like literally.
And I mean that's only if you're counting Vision appearing as a person versus a program.
Right.
Because part of him is Jarvis.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, from him going completely emotionless and detached to figuring out emotion, expressing his emotions, and connecting on a new level with, or on a different level, new level for him, and then losing that to accept that loss because of the sacrifice, and then just the sheer heartbreak of witnessing her kind of mentally unraveling in her mourning. He is a great character. Are you still looking at that line?
I need what the line is. Like it's just going to bother me.
We only have 3 characters left.
Yeah. What is grief if not love persevering? Boom. Okay. We put Vision in S tier, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Now
Thor.
it makes visual sense to me how you have it. Anyway, Thor.
Thor, I feel like, is one of the characters that has had legitimately the most growth in the MCU. Like we've seen him go from cocky, like I'm the god of thunder, the future king of Asgard, to the lowest of the low, like rock bottom, and climbing his way up from rock bottom. The only thing that bothered me about Thor in Endgame is how much they make alcoholism just like a joke.
Yeah.
Um, but that's not the character's fault in any way, shape, or form. It's
Again, he was a character that I felt like in Endgame, they made his pitfalls humorous.
yeah, but
And I don't think that I don't think that that was in good taste for the character.
mhm,
And I feel like that kind of degraded his character growth.
yeah,
So
um,
for me, that entire movie pushed him down further than pushing him up.
yeah,
As believable of a pitfall that was, how they directed that and how they wrote out that to play out,
mhm.
um, I felt was more degrading than meaningful.
And the thing that like really bothers me about the way they portrayed that is that like Disney is not a is making it to where like they're not afraid to tackle some like really difficult issues in the real world and put them in their movies and like really hammer them out for lack of a better phrase. Um,
Mhm.
but then it's like one of the most common like mental issues in the world is alcoholism, and they turn it into a joke.
And one that's popularly overlooked
Yeah.
as not being an issue. And
Um,
that's very much how they kind of played it off in a
is
lot
that,
of
oh,
ways.
it's not really an issue. It's just a way for him to deal with his problems. It's like, no,
Yeah.
this is an issue.
So for me, that pushed him down to a B, and I think that his character deserved better.
I agree that his character deserved better. I still want to give him the A tier rating. I really do. I think I actually might have to agree with you on the B though.
Because
Like
I
it just
want to
that is
give him
something
an
that
A.
bothers me so much. I wanted to give him an S if it weren't for Endgame.
Yeah.
Like how that specific character trait was portrayed.
Yeah, because I mean then it made his progress in that movie also kind of blanket.
Yeah. Steve
So,
Rogers.
all right, all right. So he is a character that is even in the comics a pretty like one note do-gooder character.
Yep.
Just we have to I feel like we have to preface that because we're
Hmm.
talking so much about character development and him as a character has been steadfast,
Yeah.
but that is who he is.
Exactly. And I mean that's the whole super soldier serum thing. It amplifies what you are. It makes
Yeah.
good better and it makes bad worse. Um So I agree with you. His
So
character's.
because of that, I'm very torn where to put him because I'm like,
I don't think he's quite S tier for me. I think he's probably A tier.
that's fair.
I think again, like what you're saying, is like he's kind of like all high and mighty about what's right, and
Yeah. But I mean, Marvel did his character justice
they
because that's
did
who his character
absolutely.
is. And I don't get angry about his character being this almighty
Yeah,
superiority kind of complex, which he doesn't really have a
no, he
superiority
doesn't.
complex.
And
He's actually,
I appreciate the end that they gave him as
I
well.
loved, I think he deserved it.
Hmm.
So
I also think that Tony Stark deserved to raise Morgan, but hey,
I,
um, which brings us to Tony Stark.
I
This
think
is
that you would be
he is
hard pressed to find a more, uh, like a character that has grown more than him.
agreed. And I think he is. I think you'd be crazy to say that he is anything other than S tier. I mean,
I mean, that's even me saying it as somebody who's not a huge fan of Iron Man as a hero.
yeah, same.
I'm
I mean, like he's interesting, but it's not my go-to.
no, and I mean he pisses me off in Civil War, both comic and movie,
Hmm. But
but
you can
he's a
still,
great character.
and you can still see where he's coming from.
Yeah,
Like he's taking a lot of personal responsibility for the Sokovia Accords and all of that. Um, and while it breaks my heart every time I've watched Endgame, but they could not have let him go out with any better way.
I agree.
Um, like
I completely
obviously, and because Tony Stark is who he is, there's no way that he could have stayed alive after Endgame and them not continued having him show up.
yeah, being a present.
And I mean, he's dead and he's still super present in Far From Home.
Yeah,
Like between Edith and just like
Happy.
everyone mourning the loss of Iron Man.
Yeah,
I mean, his story like begins with and ends with like the same line. What I'm trying to say is I am Iron Man. To and I am Iron Man. So freaking good. Oh, and God, I'm gonna just start crying. Um,
I know his goodbye to everybody was absolutely heart wrenching. Between him saying goodbye to Pepper and Spider-Man, and then the
Morgan.
recorded version
Mhm.
of him and Morgan.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And then Morgan's last line of I like cheese or like I want a cheeseburger. To Happy.
I freaking love that kid. I'm
Uh
excited to get to see hopefully where her character goes. Especially, I would really love to see her move forward with Spider-Man. Or like alongside Spider-Man, which
yeah.
I guess
I'm sure
may not be
we'll
possible after this new movie.
I'm
Who
sure we'll
knows?
see more with of her potentially in Ironheart. Um obviously like the Ironheart character is going to be what is it? Riri Thomas, Riri something. Um but I imagine that we'll get a glimpse of Morgan Stark somewhere.
Yeah,
So
I feel good about our
I
rankings.
actually do as well. So
I bit my tongue.
we've got IDK, my BFF Jill, Okoye, Quicksilver, and Valkyrie, with a little
Which
bit of hesitance on like where we would potentially put those. Really, D is Rescue, Wasp, and Drax. C tier is Professor Hulk, Falcon, Groot, and Peter Quill. B, we've got Captain Marvel, Rocket, Rhodey, Gamora, Thor. And then A, we've got Doctor Strange, Ant-Man, Black Panther, Bucky, Shuri, and Captain America. And our S tier, we've got Vision, Black Widow, Hawkeye, Scarlet Witch, Nebula, Spider-Man, and Iron Man. We've actually got quite a bit in S tier. I have to say, like, big props to the
MCU.
MCU for making such great characters.
Mm-hmm. I mean, even our B tier, I don't feel like they were bad characters. I mean, we had a lot to say about the last few, so I guess really the main one in B tier where you're like, oh, okay, was mostly Carol Danvers, where I could totally see people being like, why did you only put her in? And
yeah. Well, guys, thank you so much for watching yet another, the inaugural episode of our tier list series, which in the future I think will be shorter. I guess it just depends on how many characters are in our tier list. But like, I was planning on this being like maybe a half-hour episode, but this we had a lot to say. Both of us had a lot to say. So thank you guys so much for watching. This is going to be exclusively on our YouTube channel. Be sure to leave a comment down below. Let us know any changes you would make to your rankings. In the description down below, you'll find everywhere that you can find Anna and I on the internet, including everything sibling rivalry related. Yeah, I guess until the next episode of whatever, Shalom-Aste.
We got that one.
Yeah. All right.